Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Thursday afternoon. Hugh Freeze, the Auburn Tigers, pick up a commitment of a kid that I really like. Four-star offensive tackle Wilson Zierer committing to Auburn. Look, we've talked a lot about this kid in the summer, but we've primarily talked about him in the scope of Florida State making a late push. Wilson Zierer is what you call a box checker. This is a guy that at 6'6", 280, it's not only the frame. Like the frame is, hey, that's an SEC tackle, 6'6" with the length. The thing that stands out to me is the athleticism that he has, his ability to get out of his stance. I mean, this is a guy that I prefer these kind of tackle prospects. I think it's much easier to take a tackle that has the frame, that has the athleticism, say, hey, we just got to fill out that frame the right way and maintain the athleticism, as opposed to taking a 350-pound body and say, hey, we got to shave 30 pounds off this kid and make him an athlete. A lot easier. I think it's a lot more replicable, and it's a little bit of a safer avenue to go with a guy like Wilson Zierer. I look at him and say, hey, might take 12 to 18 months. I feel like this kid's going to be a multi-year contributor for Auburn on the offensive line, and I think he gives you some versatility. Look, I think he has the frame and the athleticism to stick at tackle. He plays with exceptional leverage. Like, this is a guy that can road grade. If you want to stick him at guard, put him in a phone booth, I think he can be a very good guard too. So you have some versatility in terms of how you want to use Wilson Zierer. Think about the value that Dylan Wade brought to Auburn. Like his ability to not only play guard, but play tackle when Auburn needed him. I think Wilson Zierer probably has that similar capability. Guy that can play guard, can play tackle. When you have the opportunity to add these guys to your program, you do it every single time, especially at a position that's difficult to address in the portal. Want to get a little bit more into Wilson Zierer. Want to talk about where Auburn's going on the recruiting trail. And look, I do want to have a quick conversation about Malcolm Simmons. And we're not going to get into the off the field conversation, but I want to get into the conversation of, look, I was very vocal. I think Malcolm Simmons is a ball player. It sounds like he might not be suiting up for Auburn due to the news that we've gotten the last 24 hours. What is it going to look like without Malcolm Simmons in this Auburn offense? Want to get into that conversation as well. Before we do, and as always, to the Auburn fans, appreciate you guys. And look, it kind of unfortunate because this program has been so fun to talk about, especially in the summer months, and we just haven't really been able to do as many commitment breakdowns because there just haven't been that many to talk about. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. A lot of y'all been showing a lot of support to the boys for a very long time. We appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into Wilson Zierer. Now, I don't think we have to talk that much longer on Wilson Zierer. This is a blue chip caliber tackle that checks off a lot of boxes, that gives you position versatility. The way I look at him, it's like we look up in 2027, 2028, I'd be stunned if he was not playing a role for Auburn on the offensive line, because not only do I love the athletic profile, but he's going to be really easy to get on the football field because he can play guard, because he can play tackle. When you have the ability to get guys that you feel like the offensive line position, really hard to evaluate at the high school ranks. It's a very difficult position to play in the SEC. When you have the ability to grab guys that you just feel pretty dang good about are going to be starting caliber dudes for you down the road, you do it every time. It's not the flashiest commitment Auburn's going to land in this 2026 cycle, but it's a dang important one. Now, where does Auburn go from here on the recruiting trail? A couple of different conversations I have. Hugh Freeze playing the waiting game. I think what Hugh Freeze wants to do here is let's see how the dust settles. And we don't want to be making promises that we can't keep to these players. And look, do I respect that? 100% I do. But at some point, the financial big boy decisions are going to have to be made, right? If you want to compete at the likes with Georgia and Alabama, you got to allocate resources to building this roster. The second thing that I'll add is this Auburn football team in 2025. Let's just be real about it. I don't think Auburn has the cachet that a program like Georgia has or a program like Texas has. I think there are a lot of players that want to go play for Auburn. We know this staff can recruit to this program. I think they're probably waiting to see what year 3 looks like for Hugh Freeze. Not only, hey, is this team winning football games? Is my head coach kind of cementing himself as a guy that's going to be here for the next 5 years? But at the same time, hey, can Auburn show me they're a program that's developing guys the right way and spitting out NFL draft picks. You look at Keldrick Falk, you look at a guy like Connor Lew. Can Auburn show these kids at the high school ranks that not only are they winning at a high level in the SEC, arguably the highest level? I've been very vocal that I think Auburn has the roster to bang with anybody in this conference this year. Can Auburn show these kids at the high school ranks that, hey, we're winning football games at the highest level in this conference? We're developing our high school kids to the NFL. If you can show those two things in 2025, kind of earn a little bit of the cachet that Georgia, that Texas have, I think things will shake out well for Auburn on the trail. And I don't think we can ignore the fact that Auburn definitely has front loaded this roster. I think there was a lot of spending that this program has done over the last 24 months to put out a roster that I think might be top 10 in the country. I think you can be very real that, hey, and here's the thing, you go out and capitalize on the roster you've built in 2025, more money's going to follow. I think a lot of the Auburn fan base, a lot of the Auburn boosters are sitting there looking at Auburn and saying, hey, want to see a little bit of return on my investment before I'm starting to give more money to this program. Go out and win football games. Go out and show that you're a team that's going to compete for SEC championships. Go out and show you're developing guys to the NFL. If you do that, the recruiting is going to take care of itself. The second conversation I want to have, Malcolm Simmons. And it's this freaking, the situation sucks, right? And it's inexcusable. Like, I don't want to get too much into what happened, right? Because I want to get the details before I start running my mouth on it. Really unfortunate and I would say inexcusable situation that it has unfolded. What does it look like for Auburn without Malcolm Simmons? I'll say this, just from a pure roster standpoint, Malcolm Simmons is a very good football player. If there was a position Auburn could choose to lose a very good football player at, it would be undoubtedly this pass catcher room. And there's a lot of different things that you can do to kind of fill in the gaps here. I think number one is, hey, Bryce Cain going into year two, is he ready to play? Now, if Bryce Cain might not be a top 3 wide receiver on this team, look what you can do. You can slide Bryce Cain into that 2 deep. Eric Singleton can be a very good slot wide receiver and say, hey, Perry Thompson, Horatio Fields, Sam Turner, kind of battling it out to be in that top 3, get on the football field. That's a really good 3-way battle to get on the football field, right? Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, they ain't leaving the football field very often for Auburn. And now it's a battle between it. In the I guess where you'd want to start here is the versatility that Eric Singleton brings to Auburn. This was one of the reasons I think Auburn brought him in. Was, hey, not only is Eric Singleton one of the best playmakers in all of college football, but he's versatile. And he gives us the ability to get all our other good football players on the field as well. So you could very easily, slot Eric Singleton into that slot wide receiver spot. You let Perry Thompson, Horatio Fields battle it out to get on the football field. Hey, we've heard a lot of good things about Perry Thompson this offseason. I think it's very real to see a monster jump from Perry Thompson in 2025. All that to say, look, the situation sucks. I think Malcolm Simmons was a really good football player as a freshman last year. This is a position where Auburn can afford to lose a good football player because it is it's probably the deepest top 6 wide receiver that you've seen in the country. And what I mean by that is yours top 6 wide receivers in this room. I'm not sure if there's a program in the country that can go 6 for 6 with Auburn. So they are suited to replace the value and production Malcolm Simmons leaves. We'll close it out there. I'm fired. I am really excited about this football team in 2025. Not sure how many people recognize how dangerous they could be. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later.